Hi, it's Carly McAvoy. I wanted to help you with this activity where you're calculating your carbon footprint using your own mathematical work instead of just going to a website. And so I've just talked you through this because some of it's kind of confusing. I did put some links in here, so I altered it from its original format quite a bit, actually. But for one thing, that asked like, what's the miles per gallon of your vehicle? If you don't know, then go to fuel economy by car. You can click on this link and it'll take you in and you can say what model your car is and what year, and it'll tell you what your fuel economy should be for that vehicle. Also, your miles driven per week. You might say, well, I don't know, some weeks I do go to school and I also go to work, and other weeks I don't do anything or whatever. So try to just figure out what your average is. I put 200 for this, but I mean, there's probably no week when I drive exactly 200 miles, right? Just kind of give yourself an average. The miles per week is W, and the gallons, miles per gallon for your vehicle is G, and you're going to take 52 because there's 52 weeks in a year times your W, divide by your G, show me your work on the paper. I've got it written out here, and then round to the nearest whole number. I don't need to have all these decimals in there. So for my personal vehicle, I'm emitting about 1,849 um, kilograms of CO2 per year. Okay, so if you ride the bus, you can use the formula that I have here. I did link to the Olympia intercity transit routes. You might live in a different city. You can go in and find those if you'd like, and you can find out exactly how many miles it is on the bus routes by using GPS or something, or you can just take your best guess. Or if you use the train, I don't use the bus, but I didn't want to leave this blank to make the instructor think maybe I just didn't see it. So if you don't use the bus, just put NA in this section so we know this section you're not filling anything out. You don't use the bus or train. I don't have any miles for that. The other thing about traveling is airplane miles. I live in Washington. I travel to Missouri. I travel to Maine. And so I went into this air miles calculator. You can put in the city that you're starting in and the city that you're ending. And it's a little different than if you're going on ground. So you want to use that. And then how many times you do that a year. And you can figure out, like if I go to Missouri twice, that's counted as 4 each way, right? So and then to Maine once. And so overall, this is my total mileage, air mileages in a year. Again, this is an exercise for you to start to realize the things that you do that create pollution and waste. It doesn't have to be exact. Give your best guess. One year you flew to Italy, next year you didn't go anywhere. Average it out. And then once you figure out what your mileage is, you're taking your annual flight miles and timesing it by 0.18 to get your answer. And again, for me here, I rounded that off to the nearest whole number. And then I added together my transportation from my CO2 pollution from car, bus, and airplane. Again, remember I didn't have any bus, so this is my car and my airplane, and I add that together, and that's what I got for my transportation. Electricity, if you're not the person in your household who pays the bill, it can be a little bit confusing, and you might be able to ask somebody what the bill is. But if you don't want to do that, you can look up what is the average kilowatt usage in the Olympia area, or you can go on and look that up for your particular area and then use that number. I think I did look it up for Olympia, and then there's 2 people in my household. Where did this 0.01 come from? I have in my house, I have use gas heat, but I also, no, electricity. I use electricity from the company, but I also have solar panels. So mine's renewable and heavy mix. So I did a 0.1. So here's my kilowatt hours per month and my people in my household. And so here we go, 12K over people in the household times F. And I got 12 times 1200 over 2.1 is 720. The thing about saying for 12 months, we use way different amount of electricity in the winter as we do in the summer. So, you might want to think about that and make an average. Make your best guess. You might want to ask somebody, whoever it is in your household, if you're not the one who's paying that bill, like, what do you think we use per month? And then make your best guess. The natural gas one is another one where in our house, we don't heat the house in the summer. We don't have air conditioning in the summer. So we don't use very much natural gas at all in the summer but we do use it in the winter. So if you have a bill that you can look at, what is your average use per month, or you can take a look at it and get an exact number. Otherwise, you can use this that I found about Puget Sound Energy, and if it's $150 per month, you can use the information in here to figure out about what your use is per month based on here's what it would cost and here's how much people are spending. So you can say, okay, if it costs this much per therm and I'm using this much, you can easily figure out how many therms you're using. And then the 12T, I'm taking 12 because it's 12 times a year times my therm use divided by 2 times 5.3, and that gave me this number, which tells me this. So again, I think I didn't use 0.36 or 0.45. I just used like 0.4 or something. But again, make your best guess. Give me a reasonable answer. I'm not going to go back and go, let me see your heating bill. That can't be right. I don't use heating oil, so for me, that's blank. I should have put NA there. I would appreciate if you put NA in those spots, just so I know you looked at it and you know that you don't use any heating oil. And then what's your dietary impact? Right now, I don't really eat meat, so that would be mine. Depends on where you are in that. Um, and then the waste recycling is a little confusing, so if you're confused on it, please take a look. I did alter this considerably from the original document. So this is kind of my own mind child, and it makes sense in my mind, but maybe not in yours. I want you to figure out about how many 13-gallon bags of trash and recycling you have a week. And I picked 13 gallons because the average kitchen trash bag is about that. You might not use that, so make your best guess. In our household, we use 5. And if you take 52 weeks times trash bags times 4.6, that gives you 1,196. We're going to use that number in a minute. But our 5 bags that we have of trash and recycling, about a 1.5 of those bags, we have very actually small amount of trash that we put out compared to the recycling that we put out. So 1.5 plus 3.5 is how we get our 5 bags. And so to figure out a reduction, we kind of get a bonus here because we recycle quite a bit. So you have W, which is your waste formula. That was 1,196. That's my waste formula right here. And then my recycle bags is 3.5 out of 5. So I have a total number of bags 5 out of 3.5 of that. And then I times that by negative 0.6 to get negative 502 rounded to the whole number. So that's how I got that number. And then to get the final number here, I take my original waste number, 1196, and I add on the negative number that I got here, and that's how I get 694 for my CO2 output from trash and recycling. That's one of the areas I do pretty well in, obviously not too well in other areas. And that's going to be my total carbon footprint. I'm going to take my transportation costs, my electricity, my heating, my dietary, and my trash. I'm going to add all that up, and I'm going to put it right here, which was 16,833. Big bummer for me because the average American is that's like around 16, and I'm even above that. And I was really trying to figure out how could I reduce that. I don't know. But what I want you to do here is reflect on that. For me, I would say I was surprised that I was so high. I didn't expect to be that high. I recycle, I eat vegetarian, I drive a Prius, for goodness sakes. But I also do fly a lot, which starts to raise it up and other things. So I would reflect on that here and then say, what could I do differently to reduce that cost, and what things are probably I'm not going to change, and so it's going to be that way. And then once you have that kind of in your head, write me out, I don't know, 4 or 5 sentences here that tells me that you thought about that, and then submit that. Have a fantastic day. See you next time.